from this battlefield. Going to siege up and try to defend here, but he needs to make up that small economic advantage. You can note that Fantasy is a little bit ahead in food count, 55 versus 48 for Nada, because he did go for the 14 command center and held off the harassment. Unfortunately for Nada, his dropship and his tanks just didn't do as much damage as I thought they would be able to do. Somehow he didn't pick off that many SCVs, and somehow he lost that contain. I also think the early Wraith was very, very smart for Fantasy. I give him huge props for that early Wraith, picking off the dropship and picking off the tanks. Here comes a dropship from Fantasy. Nada has 2 dropships up, though. He has a dropship advantage. Is he going to see it? He sees the dropship. Very, very important for Nada to see that dropship. Now this dropship's going to get taken down, and that one beleaguered tank is not going to get anywhere. Looks like a scan's going to come off. Nada might lose this Wraith, but it's going to be too late for Fantasy to, well, try to... it looks like the Wraith doesn't even go down. So Fantasy's attempt at cliffing Nada has failed here. Nada also losing a tank there, though, in the process. Fantasy's a little bit better at repairing his tanks than Nada. Nada trying to set up that sort of mountainous artillery position there. That's going to be a very powerful position without dropship play. So this game moving into the mid-game firmly, both players evening it up. I think Nada's at equal food count now. I think the early expansion difference has equalized by this point, and Nada now picking up a new expansion at the 6 o'clock. If Fantasy doesn't do that, Nada will take an economic advantage now. Nada now... going to take out the tanks that Fantasy for some reason pushed up just 3 tanks, and that's just asking to get those tanks pushed off without doing any damage of your own. But he might have actually created a bit of an ambush here, though. Nada walking into a better concave, but no, Fantasy has not enough tanks left. Fantasy with just 4 Goliaths facing 2 tanks of Nada's, and well, actually managed to pick off 2 tanks of 1 tank of Nada with those Goliaths. So nice work there. But he's going to lose his floating barracks now. So a very close game, and really, I just wonder what it feels like to have 1 HP in like a fighting game, you know? How does it feel like? Are you just like badly injured, but somehow you can still run as fast and shoot as well? I mean, it's just not very realistic. Or is it like, you know, you take a few hits and you're still just doing fine at 10 HP, but if you take one more hit, then you're not doing fine, then you're dead. Although I'm not sure how realistic that is. Fantasy now going for a drop at that 6 o'clock, though. Good work by Fantasy. This could swing the game around because Nada has committed resources, significant resources, and he's going to lose SCVs, lose that command center at the 6, and Nada needs a counter drop immediately or else he will lose a command center. Nice 3 dropship play. Oh no, Nada's going to lose one of the dropships, might lose 2 of the dropships. Looks like Fantasy actually retreating with his get to the chopper, as Silek said. I just keep saying, get to the chopper. He got to the chopper with his forces there and managed to save himself. But now he's actually managed to pick up the cliff position. So Fantasy doing very well here, picking up an advantage in this game. He has a food count advantage now, 70 to 85 in favor of Fantasy. And he's picked up the 12 also, I think. Well, actually, no, that might be Nada picking up the 12. I actually can't tell what's going on at the 12 o'clock. It would be really interesting if Nada's the one picking it up. And, sorry, Fantasy has that cliff position now. Nada's the one who's being sieged up now, and Nada looks like he doesn't have the dropship advantage in this game because he's lost a dropship or 2 in this game so far, and these dropships are absolutely critical, as we saw in last game, for keeping the initiative alive and choosing where you want to attack the enemy. Nada in big trouble here. He's going to lose his refinery to these tanks that are sieging it. Nada going for 2 dropships here, and oh man, Fantasy dropping all over the 6 too. Nada, after finishing these forces off, could drop the 6 though and save his base, but Fantasy going for a frontal push, and this is looking disastrous for Nada. Oh no, Nada could lose this game very quickly now. Things are looking very, very grim for Nada. He's going to lose that 6 o'clock command center, I think. Not much you can do about it. And Fantasy now has a dominant position, a forward contain, and sort of a dominant air contain. But Nada could pick off these dropships. No, looks like the siege tank's already in siege mode at the contain position. And Nada's rush, I think the fact that Nada failed in his rush has cost him greatly in this game so far. Fantasy taking a decisive advantage economically. 75 versus 96 food count here. And Nada could be out of the OSL here in the round 36 very soon, unfortunately. Nada going for a last-ditch push out, though. Sending SCVs to absorb hits, dropping on top of here. Will Nada have enough? No, looks like Nada will not even have enough to break the contain with the drop. And I think that's going to be game for Nada. I think that was the tipping point. I don't think there's any way Nada can win the game now. He can hang out for a while, but that dropship, wow, that dropship massacre there really has costed Nada the game, I think, against Fantasy. So a gloomy day for Nada fans, despite his heroic play in Game 2. I'm going to have to call it for Fantasy, and hopefully this young Terran player can you know, carry Nada's spirit far into the Incruit OSL, because you know, defeating a old school player like this, you know, you have to sort of follow it up with more victories. I think Nada really not looking very good here, forced to defend with his SCVs. And these SCVs are going to get picked off. I think Fantasy this game defended very, very admirably against a very good rush by Nada. And it's just excellent early game defense there with the tanks and with the Wraith. And I think that's what swung the game to his favor. And now doing the multiple drops at the 6 and at the ledge here and pushing his tanks forward was a brilliant tactical play here. Three-way attack, and that's what you need to do against a Tornado Terran. What you need to do is be a Tornado yourself and attack at every direction, like Fantasy has done this game. And he really pretty much is going to seal the deal here, just bringing more forces in. Nada at 50 food versus 95 food. He's just trying to defend with whatever he has coming out of the factories. Of course, Nada is very famous for defending to the last, because he has made some comebacks, although I don't know if they were from positions quite as bad as this one, but he generally likes to stay to the end. I think he does it partially for his fans also, just to show that he doesn't, well, he is willing to fight to the end and, you know, just do his all for his team, for his country, for America. No, for Korea, just kidding. Fighting to the end here, and yeah, this is going to be the end. Nada's going to be able to pick off this contain, but once the next wave comes, that's going to get cleaned up. So let me know what you guys think HP really represents. That's one thing I've always been curious about. Continue letting me know, you know, where you guys come from, and if you do have some spare change lying around and you're not like you know, a broke student or something, do check out my donations video, or just send me a YouTube message if you feel like donating some extra cash you got around to someone who's you know, kind of like in between jobs and being a student. And by the way, I'm not going to law school this fall. I'm just applying to law school. So whatever. And I do take a ton of time doing these commentaries, of course, as you guys have noticed. Anyway, not gonna, you know, keep talking about that, but lots of forces coming south for Fantasy. These tanks and Goliaths are pretty much going to seal the deal here for Nada. Of course, he's producing off of just one gas at this point. Fighting to the end really isn't going to be able to do it. Just look at his breathing exercises, though. He desperately wants to just stay in the OSL and have a chance at, you know, achieving glory, but unfortunately, Fantasy is going to end his run here. I don't blame Fantasy, though. He has played very well in this game, and really in Game 1, that little rush he did was quite impressive also. So yeah, I wonder what that siege tank feels like, you know, to have 2 hit points, like your whole, you know, your whole shell is destroyed, and you're barely your cannon's still up. So if someone like throws a rock or one bullet at you, you'll blow up, but meanwhile, you're still just doing fine, you know. You're still doing the same amount of damage and shooting at the same rate. I mean, I guess there's no real way to represent morale from a single unit, you know, or the health of a single unit. I think large unit battles are a little easier to represent. GG coming from Nada. Nada's being a good sport about it. Still grinning after the game, though. And Nada is someone who has very strong emotional fortitude. I'll give him that. I definitely give him lots of credit for emotional fortitude and for being able to handle losses like nobody else. So Nada losing not game one, but losing this series to Fantasy. Nice booth girl there, by the way. And Fantasy is going to advance to round of 16. Hope you guys enjoyed this Terran vs. Terran series with one of the greats exiting the OSL round 36. This is Cholera signing off.